Welcome to episode 37 of Producer Talk with Bass Kleph, and today's special guest is me. I'm going to do a little bit of a solo episode here because I wanted to sit down with you guys and have a bit of a chat about some things that are on my mind. And one of them was that I wanted to kick off a little two-part series today, talking about the real things holding you back in the studio. Now, not your gear, not your plugins, although we might talk about that a little bit next week. But today, we're going to go inwards. Because most of the time, quite often when producers are stuck, it's not just a technical issue, it's often a mindset one as well. So to give you a little preview, I want to walk you through some of the most common internal blocks that I see. Ones that can quietly kill your momentum, that can keep you stuck in loops and can even stop you from growing. But now, if it's your first time here, and if you don't know me, well, welcome. But you might be wondering, why should you be listening to me? Well, I've toured 33 countries, have multiple number ones on Beatport, signed hundreds of records to the world's top labels like Armada, Spinnin', Tool Room, Defected, and more as Bass Kleph, Analog Soul, Tyson, and a bunch of others. But since 2016, I've been helping producers like you finish great songs fast and get a pro sound. So yeah, today we're going to cover 5 key things, at least. I might think of some more, let's see. But to kick it off, one of the first ones that I wanted to talk about, one of the first blocks that's holding so many people back, and it's understandable. If you're going through this, if you're going through any of these, by the way, it's not your fault. A lot of these are just human nature. And a lot of them, sometimes we haven't been taught how to deal with these things as well too. And it's not easy, but calling them out and drawing attention to them and raising awareness to them is the first step. So the first one I want to talk about is perfectionism. The idea that every sound has to be perfect before moving on. Well, not even just every sound, but every song, every part, everything you write, you know? It's understandable because we love our music, we love what we're doing, and we want it to be as great as possible. We don't want to be judged in any way on it, you know? And we want to be happy with the final outcome. We want to look back on it and think, yeah, that's perfect. But here's the thing. Perfect doesn't exist. Perfect is like a magical unicorn that you're trying to chase and capture, and you're never going to get there. I mean, even if it did exist, whose perception of perfect are we talking about here? Are we talking about my perception of perfect? Your perception of perfect? Your neighbor's perception of perfect? It makes a big difference whose perception it is. Now, many people might listen to your music and think it's already perfect. It's like I'm saying, it doesn't really exist. Now, I'm sure a bunch of you might be able to relate to this when you're working on a project and you're writing a song or wrapping up that mix down and you're thinking, just a little more. I'll just tweak a little more. I'll just go and learn that little other thing and apply it immediately. The song is almost ready. It's so close, just a little more. And this can stifle you in so many stages of the process. Really, it could be from when you're picking out those first sounds, it could be from the bass line you write, it could be from the drums you're writing, thinking they have to be perfect. Maybe it's the lead, maybe it's the vocal you're trying to get recorded or sample and you're trying to make sure that is perfect and finding the perfect thing there too. I would say most people would get through that stage at least, but sometimes and more often people are getting hung up, not just there, but maybe more commonly stuck in the arrangement stage and beyond. Like thinking my arrangement needs to be perfect. It needs to be unique and special. Side tip here, your arrangement is never going to be the thing that everybody talks about when they're like, oh my God, have you heard that arrangement? They don't talk about that. They talk about the melodies you've made, the hooks, the beats, the sound design, the groove, the bass, the mix down, all that kind of stuff. That's what they care about so much more. I bet you can relate, right? Like how many times you sit in there counting bars while you're listening to a song? And you can absolutely just use someone else's good arrangement as long as it's actually good. You need to check that though. And yeah, it'll be totally fine then if you've done we teach this kind of perfect average arrangement exercise. We can explain how to do that. But there's a reason why so many pop songs have the same arrangement and many dance songs too. But so many of us sit there and we try to perfect that arrangement and get it just right. And unfortunately, sometimes try to reinvent the wheel. Okay, so say you made it that far. Now you're onto the mixdown stage and welcome to the land of endless tweaking. And if you don't know what you're doing, that is, you know, you can so easily get caught up just turning knobs, trying things out. You know what they say? Like hunting and pecking, that kind of thing, where you just turning knobs and loading plugins and trying stuff and hoping for the best. throwing things against the wall and seeing what will stick. But with this obligation of it has to be perfect, this feeling, how are you going to expect that to work out? This usually happens as a result of trying to piece things together that are not matched tips from YouTube, that are from all over the place, that don't relate to you and your genre and your music and your situation. Now, things that are contradictory, basically, and not appropriate for your situation. It doesn't give you a clear system of what you're working on, and that's what you really need to nail your mix down and get a pro sound. So what do? We end up with endless tweaking, endlessly adjusting knobs, and not finishing things because we want it to be perfect. But we're often not quite sure how to do that. Now, even if you are confident in what you do there and feeling really good about your choices, perfectionism can still crop up. Because here's the thing, perfectionism is really just fear in disguise. And it's understandable. Nobody wants to be judged for all their hard work, their creation. Your song is kind of like your baby, right? You put so much work and effort into it, and we all love music passionately. I know I do. I'm sure you do as well too. We really care about it, so we want it to be great. But here's where the danger comes in. Sometimes we hold on to this too much. We tell ourselves we're perfectionists, that we embody this thing. This is our belief. This is our whole way of being. And it's like, it's this or nothing. It's kind of like one of those well-intentioned obstacles that we have where we're like, yeah, it seems like a good thing to do, but it's really maybe just getting in the way. Because then we don't finish anything. And if you're not finishing anything, you're not growing, you're not improving, and you're not going to get any closer to developing that sound that you're truly proud of. You see, every song is a lesson, no matter what stage of the journey you're at. And even if you could get to perfect doesn't teach you anything. What does teach you something is finishing, because there's always going to be little things in there that you might notice later on and think, I could have done that slightly better. That'll stick in your mind. You will remember that, and you won't make that mistake again next time. It's unrealistic, really, to put that much pressure on ourselves and think that we're going to nail it first go. And with any track, even if you've already written 20 or 30 songs or something, just to expect that you're going to sit down and write this next song that you do, and it's going to turn out absolutely perfect. That kind of pressure is most often going to stifle you creatively and technically as well too, and you probably won't make something very good. So this might seem a little counterintuitive, and maybe you've even heard someone say this before, but maybe you need to hear it again so it sinks in. You are so much better off, we are all better off, just letting it flow. So just make whatever you make a deadline for it, and do the best you can up until that deadline. Now, once that happens, that's it. You got to turn the song in, whether it's an official deadline for a record label or whether it's a self-imposed one. You see, this forces us to commit to making sure that the music gets done. It's like that famous quote, what do they say? No art is ever truly finished. It's merely abandoned. Well, yeah, kind of, yeah. But it's helpful to abandon it at the right time and not linger on it for too long, for multiple reasons, really. The one I just said, which is that even if there's a small mistake in there, you're going to learn from it, and that can help you grow each time you take a song through the whole process from start to finish. The lessons you learn, particularly at the end of the process, are really going to help guide you at the start of the next process. And a huge mistake that so many people are making is they're just not finishing enough songs. So they're not learning enough. They feel like they're busy starting a bunch of songs. But it's that last bit, that last 10 to 20% that is the most helpful. And it's kind of like going to the gym and maybe like lifting one weight and never actually pushing it to failure or anything. You just do one rep and stop. It's not going to do anything. You've got to actually take it all the way through the process. What's the other analogy I often say? It's kind of like a baker that makes all the dough, but they never put it in the oven and turn it on. So you don't know how it's going to turn out good, or if it's going to turn out good. You've got to finish the whole process and learn from the mistakes. Did you burn it? Did it cook well? It's all part of it, right? Did you need to change something in the recipe? Apply that to the start of the next one. And getting back to that other one, what I was saying about lingering on it for too long, if we're becoming a bit of a perfectionist with the song we're working on, we run the risk of listening to our song too many times. And this can be problematic, at any stage. Definitely in the mixdown stage, but even in the writing stage. I'm sure many of you can relate to a time when you've heard your song so many times, especially if it's still in a loop, playing over and over again. And you get to the point where, maybe initially you loved it, but now after a while, you're like, I'm not so sure about it anymore. Maybe I'm not feeling it. Maybe it's no good. Maybe it's terrible. I'll just leave it. Or maybe even delete it and start another one. And this is like a strange psychological effect that happens when we just listen to our song too many times. We're just getting bored of it and we can start hating it. And that's just terrible and so unnecessary and tragic simply because we're listening to it too much. We have the best of intentions. We think we're trying to make it perfect. We're trying to do everything we can. We're overcooking it, basically. We're putting too much effort into it. This can also even lead to people putting in too many parts because they start to become bored of what's currently there. They're like, I've heard this so many times. I think it needs more layers, more parts, more something, more ear candy. Everybody loves ear candy. If you've got a good song, you don't really even need ear candy. Now, and if you're in the mix down stage and if you've been listening for way too long, you're going to start to lose your perception of what's happening. Your ears are going to get tired and you're going to make mistakes in your mixing decisions. Often people end up over-processing things, obsessing over tiny details, or even imagining things that aren't really there. So I really want to impress upon you, and to try this out, to try your best to be aware of perfectionism when it's creeping in. Try to notice it, and let's try and fight against it. Because for all these reasons I've mentioned and more, it is not helpful. It does not make a better final product. It's not better creatively, and it's not better technically. I can tell you from my own personal experience and from peers and friends and students that some of the best and most successful songs I and they have ever had and done were the fastest ones we ever did. They're the ones that we finished in a day or less. Start to finish, totally everything written, mixed, all done. And my theory is because they were just flowing. We weren't overthinking anything. We were just letting the music flow through us. We were just in the moment. It kind of reminds me of like when you're playing a traditional instrument, you would learn scales and things, it's like on guitar or piano. And you spend ages learning these scales and chord shapes and stuff like that. And you have to often read them off charts and papers and things. But when you're up on stage, doing a performance, doing a show, finally, right? And it's your turn to do a solo or something, you don't think about that stuff. You take all that knowledge that you've built up and stored, and you just let go, and whatever comes out, comes out. And that's what we should be doing with our music production as well too. We obviously need to study, we need to learn. There's a time for that. That's why we make courses and do mentoring, do that stuff too, to help people. But then when you're in the moment actually writing the song and mixing, we want you to be clear-headed and just letting go and letting the creativity and vibe flow through you to make the best art possible. So hopefully this can all give you some perspective on this challenging thing, because sometimes we don't even know this is taking hold of us. And I think if we look at it in this light, if we call it out and be like, hang on, this perfectionism is not actually helpful. It's not benefiting me. It's not serving me. And really what it's based in is kind of like it is fear. And it's a fear of letting go, a fear of letting this thing become permanent, potentially being judged, being not quite right somehow, which is actually awesome. It's great if something goes wrong because then we learn from it and we'll get better next time. Like I said, you could spend months working on one song, making it perfect, or you could have done the whole song in a day, made a mistake, done the next song, made a mistake. Each time you learn, you would be further ahead by the end if you just did them quickly and learnt from them each time. And maybe this will make it even easier to sink in and feel better about is if I tell you this too, like whatever song you're working on right now, whether it's your first one or your 100th one, it is not your opus. I guarantee you, none of them are. They're not nobody's ever summed up entirely by just that one song ever. No audience is going to come back and put all this pressure on you and totally describe you by this one song. That is way too much pressure. The reality is we create a body of work over our lifetime. We're going to create hundreds, hopefully thousands of songs, and they're going to evolve over time. And if we're doing things right, they're just going to keep getting better as well too. So it's kind of the average of that, the experience of all of them that sums you up as an artist. Don't think about it like you're making a single masterpiece. Think about it more like you're making a photo album of the last year or something. And each day you're taking a photo. It's just a snapshot of now. It's just, you're just capturing the moment. And it's all those moments together combined that sum you up and say what you want to say. So rather than aiming to be perfect, I highly encourage you to aim to be prolific. Instead of focusing completely on quality and putting extreme pressure on yourself for super high quality, especially when it's maybe not immediately within reach, if you're still learning, there's this danger where you can go out and learn one new thing and feel like you need to immediately apply that to the last song you were working on. You go, you thought it was done, but I'm going to go back and I'm going to go try these new things that I learned. I'm going to stick them in there, and whether the song needs it or not. The song's never going to get finished if you approach it that way. You got to just sign off and say, this is me at that moment, and I'm going to start the next song and I'm going to learn from each one. Because really, quality, especially at the start of our careers or our musical journey, comes from quantity. I highly recommend that you invest your time into quantity first, and quality will naturally bubble to the surface. Do lots of songs, write lots of songs, mix lots of songs, finish them right till the end, release them too, and you will learn from them, and everything will just get better and better. Your music will get better, your mix downs will get better, you'll feel more proud of it all, you'll start getting signed where you want to get signed, you'll build the community around your music you want, and everything will be great. All right, so that's perfectionism. And like I said, if you're going through any of this stuff, it's not bad. It's not your fault. Everybody goes through this. I just want to reiterate that. Like, there should be no element of guilt or anything. This is just something that's important to talk about, because otherwise it can hold you back and you might not even be aware of it. I mean, that's all these things today I want to talk about for that exact reason, to help out with that stuff. So yeah, speaking of which, let's get on to the next one. Number 2, let's talk about fear of judgment. Kind of related to the first one in a way too, like not feeling good enough in your art. Now, this is often a reason why we strive for that perfection, because we're trying to avoid this one. We want it to be perfect so we can make sure and guarantee that we're not going to be judged somehow. Totally understandable. Who wants to be judged? Feels horrible, right? The problem is, just like perfectionism, this doesn't actually serve us. It doesn't help us in any positive way. Subconsciously, we kind of like it because I think it makes us feel kind of safe, but it's not getting us closer to, well, many of our goals for most of us is we want to write music we love, that we're proud of, that we're happy to release. And for some of us, we want to write music that we're going to get signed to labels and maybe even make it into a career as well too. But if we're buying into that fear of judgment, that fear of not being good enough, then it's not going to help us achieve any of those things. Because once again, what is good enough? It's just like I said, what is perfect? It's all relative. Is it my perception of what good enough is? Is it yours? Is it that random person that you saw at the supermarket that knows nothing about music? There is no such thing as good enough or needing to be good enough. There's just now. Just do what you're doing now, and it's only going to get better over time. And especially if we try our best to let go of this, to let go of fear of judgment. And I know, sure, it's easier said than done, but awareness is the first step. Us talking about it, you listening to it here right now, is you're taking a step towards letting go of that, even if it's just a little bit. Because think about the consequences. If we're full of fear of judgment, we're never going to want to share our music. We're never going to want to release it, right? We might even avoid getting feedback on it. We might even avoid playing it to friends or to peers, other friends that make music as well too. Oh, yeah, he's not ready. He's not good enough. All this kind of stuff. When in reality, playing it to them, they might give you some feedback that's going to help you and make it better and get you to that point where even you are like, wow, it's good enough. It's better than good enough. I can guarantee you from my personal experience, all the people who I saw have massive acceleration in their career when I was touring full time and hanging out with loads of DJs and producers all the time, the ones that were absolutely crushing it had the best mindset about feedback. They would actively hunt it down like it was gold. They would love to ask anybody, oh, can you please listen to my song? What do you think of it? I really want to know. And the last thing they were hoping to hear was, it's amazing, it's perfect, it's good enough. They were saying, well, how could I make it better? They were thirsty and hungry for that. They were saying, I just want this to be the best it can possibly be. And they're realizing that help is helpful. They're letting go of that fear of what anybody thinks about it. You know, sure, you're going to get some people that might say, oh, I don't like it. It's bad. And if they don't give you a good reason why they don't like it or why they think it's bad, well, we got to realize why should we care about their opinion, right? It doesn't hold as much weight, especially if they can't describe why they think it's bad or why they think it's not good enough. Sometimes you might get this from record labels. Might get a record label that doesn't sign your track. If they don't say why, doesn't mean it's bad. Record labels turn down tracks for all sorts of reasons. Maybe they literally wished it had more cowbell, or they're just having a bad day that day, or they've already signed enough tracks for that year, or they're mostly working with their in-house artists. There's millions of reasons why they'll turn stuff down, and they're curating a custom sound for their label, and they're allowed to be very picky and specific. It's not because it's a bad song, it's just maybe it doesn't fit for their label at this moment in time. So it absolutely doesn't mean that your track or you are not good enough. Got to remind ourselves of that, because these feelings can sometimes be automatic and just creeping up inside us, and we've got to try our best to notice them, because it can help so much with us trying to achieve our goals in music. Because this stuff should be fun, and it is fun, and we shouldn't have this much pressure on ourselves. We're absolutely allowed to be at the level we're at, starting from where we are. Everybody starts from zero, and we just try our best to do a little bit better each time. But like we said before, we can't expect perfect. We can't, especially overnight, we can't expect that we're going to immediately be at some super high level, like maybe as some of our favorite producers and things that have maybe even been doing this for 10, 20 years and stuff like that too. Now, sure, there are certain ways to accelerate your learning and things to learn faster than others. I mean, that's what we teach as well at the school. But still, it's not immediate. You still need to learn the things, put them into practice, repeat the process, put the effort in, put the work in. And we're going to grow through that and accelerate and learn more when we're not putting so much pressure on ourselves and not saying that if we're saying things like we're not good enough or it needs to be perfect, that's just going to hold us back. Like I said, it doesn't serve you. And it doesn't serve you to avoid feedback. Like there's people I was talking about before, how they hunted it down and they were looking to try and find out how they could do better. That's one of the best things you can do, especially from qualified ears, people that really know what they're listening to musically and technically, and can give you a detailed, thoughtful, constructive answer on what's working, what's not working, and how can we make it even better if possible. Maybe it's already amazing. But yeah, you don't want to avoid seeking out feedback and listening to it. Yeah, just always keep in mind how much you care about that person's opinion. Like what do they actually know about music? If they really know their stuff, then yeah, definitely listen to them. But if they don't really know their stuff, or if they're kind of biased towards one thing or the other, yeah, keep that in mind, and I'm sure you're going to be fine. And the more you do it, sharing your songs to get feedback and stuff, trust me, it gets easier. And you will start to eventually love it. You'll be like, I don't want to do this without getting feedback on stuff. And once you can get past that bit, then hopefully we can get to the point where we're sharing music, like sharing it with the world, whether it's uploaded for free, it's a self-release, or signed to a label, or even just sending demos to try and get signed to a label. That's not going to happen if we have that thing eating away inside of us saying you're not good enough or the song is not good enough. You just got to take those steps, put it out there and realize that it's just the song of today. And build upon that. It's going to be even better next time. It's not all about this one song. Like I said, it's not your opus. We're here to do loads and loads of songs, and it's everything over time that matters. And remember, the same goes for self-comparison to all your favorite pro artists as well too. The ones that you listen to all the time, your favorite producers, whether you're comparing your music to them, your mix downs, or maybe it's even just the social media kind of status and things too. Got to remember that everybody's on their own journey. Many people have been doing it for longer, and everybody started at zero. So it's super important to just run your own race. I mean, it's not even a race, it's a journey. It's something fun we're doing here. Music is all about fun, and as soon as it's not fun anymore, it's a warning sign that we're doing something wrong. So hopefully that helps out a little bit with that fear of judgment and the whole not feeling good enough thing, breaking it down like that and looking at it for what it really is, that it doesn't actually help us, doesn't serve us. And yeah, like I said, easier said than done, but awareness is the first step. All right, let's get on to internal block number 3, and this one is overthinking and overcomplicating. Now, in some ways, this is almost tied back to the first one a little bit too, because what often happens with this is the whole kind of analysis paralysis, where we're thinking about everything so much that we don't actually do anything. And very often, well, not every case, but very often we do that because we want things to be perfect. It's kind of the thing that's leading up to that, right? We're thinking about everything before we even get started, before we even make a move, because we want to make it perfect. And we've already talked about perfect. You understand what I think about that already. But once again, this overthinking and overcomplicating, which we've got to talk about too, is not serving us. It's not helping us out. It's not getting us closer to where we need to be because it's stalling things. And it's making things not as fun as well too. It's kind of like imagining you're in your car, you're at a set of traffic lights, the lights are red. You're waiting for them to turn green before you go. But you're also looking at the next set down the road and you're waiting for those to turn green. And you're also looking at the next set and you're looking at like 20 sets down the road. You want them all to turn green before you ever start moving. You're asking too much. You're asking for everything to be, perfect before you make a move. Whereas in reality, it's action that creates clarity. You got to just start doing something and you'll figure it out along the way. So taking action is super helpful and it's one of the main things. You should at least be doing that. Just trying stuff, trying anything to see what starts working to get you closer to the next decision, to see what starts working again. Things don't have to be perfect. They don't have to line up exactly from the get-go. You just get started and you will work it out. Could be whether I should use this plugin or that plugin or the one from this brand, or what's the right way to do this or the wrong way here, This kills so much momentum and clarity because you're just getting caught up thinking about the whole approach to it. And it can be super frustrating and kill the vibe. I'm sure you might have had some times where you were sitting down to write some music and you ended up just overthinking a whole bunch of stuff and no music actually happened. Or if it did, it didn't get finished. Now, the even better way around this, rather than, like I said, at least taking action is the bare minimum, better than just sitting at the lights, just waiting for them all to go green. But the even better way is to actually know what the system is, know the way to do things. And that's where seeking out good education comes in. That's the kind of stuff we teach at our school here too. We've worked out proven systems over time for the best ways to write and finish tracks fast and often, and to get a pro sounding mix down as well too. And this absolutely does not happen unless you have these systems. At least not fast and often and easily anyway. But I see why so many people are struggling, because the alternative is, going on YouTube or something and watching a whole bunch of random tips from all over the place. But the problem is many of those tips don't actually apply to your specific genre. There's loads of tips on there that were originally designed for rock and roll and funk, but everybody talks about them in house music like they're what you have to do. I mean, just this one thing, for example, there's so many things. It's not made for your genre. Or you're watching one tips from one guy and they contradict the tips from the other person because they both have a different system in mind. Much better to have one cohesive system that's proven and tested and actually works. Because otherwise what you end up doing, and what many people are suffering through, and what I was doing when I first started out before I learned properly, was we're just sitting around guessing, hunting and pecking, loading plugins, going, let's see what this does. Maybe that'll fix it. I know something's not quite right. Let's throw some stuff at the wall and see what sticks. And sure, occasionally that can get you there. You could even potentially maybe write a great song. You could even potentially have a great mix down. But it will probably take you ages, so long. And it's probably not going to be very repeatable, almost impossibly not repeatable. And I've already explained the importance of finishing things fast, because if you finish things fast, you don't overthink it, you don't listen to it too much and overcook it. You learn from it each time, so you grow quicker because you're finishing more. Faster equals more often, basically, same thing. So reaching the finish line is good, but reaching the finish line often and easily is much better. And that's exactly what you can do when you've got a clear, repeatable system. So this is one of the best ways, I think, probably the best way to overcome overthinking, is to just have the plan laid out in front of you, know what you're doing. As at the very minimum, definitely at least take action. Just get involved, start trying stuff, try anything and learn from the process, but much better to get yourselves onto a good, repeatable system that's proven that works. And I didn't touch too much on overcomplicating, but if you watch or listen to some of my stuff, you'd know that I'm very much against that all the time. There's way too much unnecessary complexity out there in the land of YouTube University and other places as well too. And I think people are celebrating it way too much. Like we've talked about on this podcast before, unfortunately, or fortunately, there is no badge of honor or medal for doing your song in the hardest way possible. There's no pop-up that happens when you listen to somebody's song on Spotify that says, this person spent 2 years making this track, or, they didn't just make their own kick drum. They coded their own software and powered their computer with a pedal bike or something. I don't know. There's no award for this. People just listen to the final product and decide, do they like it? Do they like the music? Do they like the way it sounds? That's all that matters in the end. So I don't personally get the whole thing of making things unnecessarily complex. I'm all about making things have a great result in the easiest, fastest way possible, about being efficient. Because I want to write lots of music and have a great time doing it. I don't want to labor over it and make it feel like it's a pain. So if there's ever a way to do something and I can do it easier and get the same or even better result, I'm going to do it that way. And I'd recommend that way as well too. Not to limit quality, not to limit the art of something ever. No way. But if there's a way to do it quicker and easier, we should be doing that. Keep that in mind too next time you're watching someone demonstrate how they made a song, or they're doing a track breakdown or something too. And I bet you a bunch of times you're going to see people doing things you're like, you probably could have done that quicker. Did it really need to be that complicated? And these are good questions to ask. So I am all about avoiding complex, and I would encourage you to be as well too. I guess unless you're super passionate about just doing complex things and you don't care about finishing songs, sure, whatever makes you happy. But if you're like me and if you want to finish lots of music, then let's avoid complexity. It's not going to help us get there quicker. And it's not something to be celebrated because it's just a distraction. And very often it's a distraction from completion, from finishing the song. Because we get caught up in thinking, oh, it's okay. Look how complex this is. Look how fancy or smart I am. And it's a way of avoiding actually finishing the song. When we strip it down and make it simple, we don't have excuses anymore. But then we have to deal with those things like perfectionism and fear of judgment. But like I say, this is what we're dealing with here today. So speaking of which, let's keep moving on through. Let's look at internal block number 4 that I want to talk about. And that one is having no clear finish line strategy. This is something that I think people don't really talk about and maybe don't really even think about with their music, because it's just so fun to start the song. You don't even think about this. You're not thinking about that when you sit down. And that's exactly why, and I'm sure you can relate, when you sit down and pull up Ableton and start making some beats and throwing in some bass lines and samples and stuff, and you're having a great time and everything's super fun. And then it gets to a point where you've kind of done all the things the things you usually do, and you kind of like, it's missing something. Oh, I don't know. I'm trying to arrange it and it doesn't feel like it's holding interest. I'm now losing interest in the song. I'm not into it anymore too. And then it doesn't feel as fun anymore. It starts to feel more like work, right? And it's much more tempting to be like, I don't want to finish. This feels like effort. This is not fun. I'm going to just start another one. Can you relate? So this happens just because that part of the process either hasn't been taught to you or you've been shown the wrong way. So you're not you're not strong with that finishing part of the process. The starting part, we've all done so many times because you always start at the start. So we have loads of practice on the starting bit, loads of practice opening Ableton and setting up those drums and picking out a few sounds, maybe writing 1 or 2 parts. We often have much less practice with arrangement, with making things flow, with making sure that things are actually catchy and quality, and then definitely much less practice with nailing our mix downs and knowing when to say enough is enough and knowing what done actually is. You see, the thing is, when you do take it all the way through to the end and complete it, that really teaches you something. Like I said before, it teaches you that feeling of, this is what the last 10% feels like. This is the tasks that need to be done. This is what matters. And you also learn from what was difficult in the process. As you're wrapping up that mix down, you're like, I can't believe I put those 2 parts in the same frequency. That was so difficult. I'll never do that again. You take that lesson forwards. And it's that practice at that ending stage that helps so much. This is so often the bit that most people are missing. This is why, a big part of the reason why people struggle to finish songs, because they've practiced and they're really comfortable with the starting part, but they haven't practiced the ending part. They don't even often really know how to approach it. It's this finishing part at the end that is the skill. And the thing is, it's absolutely teachable. And once you know it, it's easy. And it's just as fun as the starting bit. You just need to get over that hump. just learn that bit and you'll be like, okay, now the whole process is easy and fun, not just the start. Now I like all of it. And I don't get to a point where I'm like, I don't know what to do. It's missing something, or it's maybe it's a bad song or whatever. No, you'll just know, okay, this is what is going on. This is the situation. These are the steps I'm going to take, and it's done. This is the difference between working on music and finishing music. And it's also absolutely the reason why so many producers stay stuck in that loop trap, stuck in loop prison. Because you get to that certain point of the limit of your knowledge, really, for your art and for your technical skills. And then you go, I don't know where to go from here. And hey, if you're feeling that, that's totally okay. Like I said, it just means you haven't been shown what to do with that part of the process, or maybe you were shown the wrong way, or quite possibly in the wrong order too. It really matters the order you do things. But like I said, we're here to help with those kind of things. If you want to go deeper than what we talk about on the podcast and in the YouTube videos, check out the school at basskleph.com and we can absolutely help you out. But yeah, this is the key. Taking things right to the end like that, having this clear finish line strategy, knowing how you're meant to approach it, this massively speeds up the whole process of writing and finishing songs, makes it more fun the whole time through, and it leaves you with enough energy left over to be excited to start the next one. I think that's a big thing people don't talk about too. They're often like, oh yeah, why would I want to finish songs fast? I like taking my time on it. But then by the time they've finished one song, it's been like a couple of months and they don't have the energy to even start the next one. Like, oh, another one? That's going to take a month, 3 months, whatever. You know, how many songs did you finish last year, man? How many did you release? When you think about how many you could have released, learning this proper process, this finish line strategy is like what we teach in the Road to Main Stage. This gets you super comfortable and strong with things like arrangements, the kind of flow stage where you keep things interesting. It's the technique of keeping things interesting with it throughout your song, and to control tension and release and drama, and very importantly for your mix downs as well too. I mean, we do also do an advanced course called Pro Sound Secrets for people that want to really go deep on their mix downs. But even Road to Main Stage covers the essentials. But hey, however you find it, however you learn it, we all need a clear finish line strategy. You need to be clear on what you need to be doing throughout the whole process, not just how do you start a song. Okay, let's get on to internal block number 5. Let's talk about creative burnout and, in a way, decision fatigue. So this comes down to not being clear on your strategy and approach of how you write stuff and your schedule of writing and finishing and releasing and that kind of thing. Most people haven't taken the time to think about it because we're just doing this for fun, having a good time. But before you know it, it can sneak up on you and you'd be like, oh man, I've got like 10 songs I'm trying to finish right now and it's so stressful. And when I started out doing this stuff was fun. But now the whole thing just feels like work. I feel exhausted. I feel tired. I don't even feel like turning the computer on and starting the song because I'm just burnt out. This can happen because maybe you've got way too many songs on the go. I mean, it's okay to be working on a couple of tracks at the same time, 2, maybe 3, maybe, but not 10 tracks at the same time, especially earlier on in your career as well too. I wouldn't recommend that. Maybe then you're never really getting that deep into any of them and giving them the full attention creatively that they deserve, and technically as well too throughout the mix downs and things. Because you're becoming so overwhelmed with the work and all the, I mean, it's not even good for your sort of morale as well too, to be having so much work that's unfinished piling up. It's a good feeling when you're finishing a track. I did that. That is done. That will exist now. And hopefully you're releasing it too. And it's going to exist on the internet with the world forever. You've created something that didn't exist before. It's amazing. And amazing when you have people come back and go, hey, I really like that, and they like the song or play the song or comment or contact or something as well too. That's you connecting artistically with other people out there in the world. Amazing. Such a good feeling. So powerfully motivating for the next song. It's really difficult to be doing 10 songs at once and not getting that hit of happiness, waiting so long. That's kind of fuel. That really helps. I don't know. I mean, definitely helps me to get the track, get it out there and feel like, yeah, I'm proud of what I did and I'm ready and excited to get on to the next one and take what I learned from that experience of the last one and apply it to the next one. Now, like I said, this creative burnout can often come from decision fatigue as well too, which is, sort of related to overthinking as well. But this can often be helped a lot by limiting your choices. These days, we have way too many options and choices with technology. Our DAWs are way too overly complicated. It's totally unnecessary. We talked about complexity before too. Remember I said all the reasons why I don't think we should be celebrating complexity, especially if you're here just to finish tracks and make great music. So I can guarantee you there is way more stuff possible in your DAW, way more features in your DAW than you actually need. They're not putting all these features in there because they're essential and you must master them all and learn them to make a great song, to be successful, to be good enough, to be perfect. No, they're a business. It makes sense, right? They're putting features in there so that they can compete with the other DAW companies, so that Ableton can compete with Logic and FL Studio and Pro Tools and everything, so that you choose their one and so that you keep using it, and they make updates to keep it fresh and trying to make it feel like there's always something growing and something new. But people have been writing incredible music on older technology for decades, many decades. So I guarantee you, I bet everybody out there has all the tools they need, because we really don't need that much. Now, the skills, however, the skills do matter. The skills of knowing what to use and how to use it, that makes all the difference. But equipment-wise, there is way too much. So limiting your choices there can really help, because you're not wasting all your time thinking about options. Limiting things like, well, what software are you going to use? Is it just going to be stock plugins and one or two synthesizers or something? Maybe you're going to stick to only Ableton and Serum. Or maybe only, say, Logic and Diva or something. Whatever works for your sound. You're making a decision. I'm just going to stick with this and master it, rather than we can so easily waste so much time constantly trying to learn new plugins. And there's time when we could have been finishing music, or also another powerful thing, improving our skills. That's going to do much more for you. There's so many benefits to limiting your choices as well too, because then you're going to push the boundaries and be more experimental with what you've got. I mean, look at things like the 303, the 808 and 909. Those things weren't designed to make dance music, not at all. But that was what was available to people at the time within their budget, and they pushed the boundaries of that and created whole new genres. Turntables weren't designed for scratching or DJing. Well, not in the way we use them today, but people pushed the boundaries, used them for things they weren't intended for, and look what we have now. So this decision fatigue is a real thing, and it not only wears you out and can give you creative burnout, but it can kind of limit your creativity as well too. And keep in mind, your energy is a finite resource, so we need to have systems to protect our energy. And one of our biggest ones, or I suppose, our physical, how much energy we have to sit down and write music, but also how much time we have as well too, is super important. Because we're all so busy these days, most people working a full-time job while they're doing their music. Many people also looking after a family as well too. So that finite resource of time has to be utilized well if you want to truly create and finish music you're proud of. And I totally believe there is an ideal way to approach this, and I've experimented with it over the years, because when I was doing this full-time touring and releasing music, I simply had to have this stuff dialed, or I wouldn't have been able to compete with everybody. You have to finish great music, and you have to finish a lot of it. There's no way around it. Otherwise, that job just doesn't work. So I worked all that stuff out. I tested it in the real world, and now I help my students with it as well too. And even if they're not doing this professionally, if they just want to be stoked and confident and proud with the music they make, and eventually release it as well too, these systems help, and it makes them happy. It teaches them how to use that finite resource of their time and their energy to achieve what they want. So have a think about this. Like, how are you using your time? How are you using your energy in the studio? Are you doing things efficiently, or are you celebrating complexity without thinking about it? Are you making well-intentioned obstacles for yourself and making things harder than they really need to be? If we could strip some of these things back, wouldn't it be better use of your time? Wouldn't we achieve more? Because look, all these things we've been talking about here today, like perfectionism, fear of judgment, overthinking, not having a clear finish line strategy, and creative burnout and decision fatigue, all of these things stop you from finishing songs. And we've just been talking about how important that is today the whole time, right? Like saying how, like I believe, and like I say all the time, that finishing music fast and often is the only way to grow, improve, and become a confident release-ready producer. So if any of these internal blocks are active for you right now, and it's common, it's okay, but if you find you're not finishing tracks too, then you're not getting the reps that you need to grow. Now, that's not a criticism. It's just the pattern I've seen over and over again with myself and with thousands of students that we help. And of course, even when your mindset is in the right place, your environment might still be holding you back too. So in the next episode, we're going to talk about those external blocks, things like monitoring, plugins, referencing, workflow, the more the technical stuff. That's often set up in a way that works against you. But if this episode helped you identify what's been tripping you up a little, take a second to reflect on it. Write it down. Like I said, awareness is step one. And if you want help building momentum, getting out of that loop trap, and finishing music fast and often, that's exactly what we focus on in the Road to Main Stage. Or maybe you want to finally nail your mixdowns and get that pro sound you can be truly proud of, then check out our course Pro Sound Secrets, or check out our mentoring service too. Now you can find out more at basskleph.com. That's BASSKLEPH.com. But either way, start building that finish fast muscle. It's the one thing that changes everything. So until next time, you know what to do. Less tweaks, more tracks, own your sound.